Will I sell Thorndike? Won't I sell Thorndike? That is the question. The answer coming right after the intro. Yes, folks, how is it going? And welcome back. It's episode number 9 of Park to Prem. Yesterday, we had a transfer special. Go watch it if you didn't already. And if you watched that video and forgot to like that video, leave a like on this video right now. We need to see more likes on the video to feed them into the algorithm. Football Manager would normally have a new game coming out right now. That's not happening. So if you enjoy the content, want to help support, push things into the ether, is very much appreciated. Anyway, today we're back to hopefully wrap up the transfer window in terms of pre-season, that is. Our first league game of the year is against Barrow. It is in 20 days' time, and their media prediction is second. So we need some good players before we take on this relegated side. And as I mentioned in the intro, one of the big questions off the back of last episode was I going to sell Finley Thorndike? Exploring options at the end of his contract, has only 1 year left on his deal. I had a bid from Wickham, £100,000. I can tell you now, I really did and ah on this one. I'm not going to sell him. I feel like even if I lose him on a free, what he could offer me this year could be crucial. And there's still that slight possibility he will decide to extend his time. And rather than spend today's episode panicking about trying to sign a new centre attacking mid, I'd rather just keep him around. Now, just as a little refresher, our bank balance is looking really healthy at the moment. There is a lot of wage budget as well. We've been getting rid of a lot of the scraps and the not-so-good players in our first team. Just some of the big earners, players like Josh Harrop, no longer at the club. He was on over £1,000 a week at us. As for the transfers we've currently got going on, I can actually confirm the Miles Roberts one in just a moment. This guy is going to be our new backup goalkeeper. And the other two deals we're waiting on are Louis Jackson, who's a very good centre-back, who's currently on trial with Spennymoor. I'm going to hope he decides to sign with us. And the final player is Noah Watson, a player who can play left back, left wing back, centre back. That kind of versatility is very useful at this level. Anyway, we are going to kick off today's episode with a signing of sorts. Miles Roberts is going to join us to be a new backup goalkeeper. It is worth noting that Arlo Doherty is technically still at the club. He's on £400 a week. I wonder, can I lower his playing time without him crying about it? If I lower his time to breakthrough prospect, will that mean when I go into the contract negotiations, he wants to be a breakthrough? This is the biggest brain thing ever. Last episode, he was asking for a load. I've just lowered his playing role and now he's asking for less. Arlo, 3-year deal. He wants a 1-year deal. 3-year deal. He wants a 1-year deal. 3-year deal. 3-year deal. Sometimes you just got to be persistent. I'm now wondering with other players in my team, if I lower their role in the team, you know, if with Finley Thorndike here, I'd just say, you're not important anymore. You know what? I don't want to risk making him angry. I was thinking I could lower his playing time and then offer him a cheaper deal. That's not going to happen there. Overton's contract is also up at the end of the current year. His current playing time is fringe player. I have a feeling he's going to want to be a star. He wants us to get promoted. He wants to be a star player. How much money does he want to sign a new deal at the club? He's not giving me a fee immediately, which is always scary. He's currently on £500 a week. Our top earner's on £1,500. If I offer him this... Okay. We'll talk to him later. I still think signing Miles Roberts as another backup goalkeeper is good. I feel like having 3 goalkeepers at the club is always good in case of emergencies. On £500 a week, not too spenny either. I have noticed there's a little bit of interest in some of our players. Jarrell Sellers, I'm still looking to try and get rid of this summer. We had a bid of £100,000 made for him by 2 different clubs. He turned them both down. Elsewhere, Josh Chambers has had a little bit of interest in him. He has rapidly fallen down the pecking order when it comes to our defensive midfielders. Port Vale are interested in him. He's not even on a cheap contract, really, on £1,000 a week. So with that in mind, I'm just going to offer him out and see if Port Vale have any interest. Another player I'm going to offer out as well is Eden Page. He is transfer listed. I want to sell him. He's had too many issues of injuries. And of course, we've got some very good left backs coming in. I already talked about Noah Watson. If he joins us, Eden Page is just absolutely surplus to requirements, isn't he? Louis Jackson is going to join us. I think for £700 a week, he could be a really, really good player. Doesn't have the craziest current ability, but he's definitely a decent option at centre-back. Super consistent performer. My scouts did say he might have championship potential. Whether or not he's going to be able to reach that, maybe a question mark, but yeah, another good player to sign up. And we have now had some offers made for Josh Chambers. His value is very, very wide in terms of the guide value, 35,000 to 350,000. The teams that have made bids on the lower end. I kind of feel like I could let him go if the price is right. Burton made the first bid. I'm going to get cheeky with them. I want £170,000 Burton and a 15% profit. Okay, that was too cheeky. Port Vale, I'll be more reasonable with you. £100,000, they've bid 50. How about 85 and a 50% profit sell on? They're driving a hard bargain. Our first team is already a little on the bloated side, so to be honest, just getting money for some of these players, I feel like is going to be important. £70,000 to Josh Chambers. I feel like I just have to take. I know he played a lot of games last year. Of his 40 appearances, only 26 were starts. We've already got a new defensive mid, of course, in Jones in the team that we signed for nothing. So let's get rid of the man he's on, even more than Jones, our new defensive mid. You can kind of see from the players I'm trying to get out, players like Chambers and Sellers. They are some of the top earners at the club that don't really justify their wages right now. I am wondering, with all the money in my overall balance, if I should be maybe asking for us to improve the training facilities or youth level. I mean, to be fair, our training facilities are already pretty good, and our youth facilities are way better than they really need to be at this moment in time. I just want to find something to spend some money on. Networking, senior affiliate. I mean, a senior affiliate could be good, but given the players we're producing, do I really want to loan in players that might take away first-team opportunities from some really good players we got through our intake last year? You know what? I'll ask for a new contract. That's what I'll do. I believe my current job deal ends at the end of the current year. Let's put some faith in me to have another season, please. Every time Overton gets injured, there's like a little minor panic for me. It's a tight hamstring for him. He does have major injury proneness. Didn't really experience it last year, but with a player who's so reliant on his pace, of course, that's a little bit scary. Noah Watson, by the way, is going to sign for us. That is a really, really cheap deal. £550 a week for him. That is the final piece in the puzzle, I feel like, as far as our defence goes. You can see here now the defensive options we've got at the club. There is plenty of depth here, lots of versatility as well. We are not short on centre-backs, I think, for the first time ever. Some young players with some big upside. You'll also notice here that no one's really on outrageous wages. And whilst there's not maybe one super standout defender who's head and shoulders above the rest, I think we've got some really consistent quality here. Obviously, the 16-year-old Ajaria needs to learn to play right wing-back. We are working on that. Elsewhere, players like Spencer Addons, I think, proved that he can do a job at this level already this year. Players like Jack Kingdom, I suppose, are going to be the big question marks. If he can perform as well as I think he can, I mean, attribute-wise, I think he might be our best centre-back. We could do very well defensively this year. I have just demoted the players who I'm looking to get rid of to the under-21, so they're out of sight and out of mind. Currently, our first team now sits at 24 players, which, to be fair, is kind of already on the larger side. That doesn't mean, though, that I'm not going to look for improvements. Our current striking options, you can see here, I've talked about Overton a lot. Of course, McGlynn, last episode, renewed his contract at the club. I do feel like he might find himself on the fringes of the team a little bit more, simply because I really, really want to give Andy White, our 16-year-old youth prospect, some minutes this year. I feel like this guy has a lot of potential. At least on our club profile screen, you can see here, he is listed as our hot prospect. So, yeah, I want to give him game time. He's young enough that maybe if I play him enough, he'll actually become less not consistent or more consistent. Less not consistent. English is my first language, I swear. Of course, the only other striker we've got in our ranks right now is Victor Musa. So if I was looking for maybe one last player in the team, I think it perhaps would be a striker who can also play centre attack in mid. I feel like if we can find a player like that, I'd be pretty happy. The board have offered me a new contract, by the way, which is always nice. I'm going to ask for a longer-term deal on less money. If you're wondering why you should always ask for some semi-reasonable wages, I see people all the time lower their wages to nothing. Basically, however long you've got left on your contract and the amount you're getting paid per week or per month over that contract is how much compensation they have to pay to fire you. Particularly if you're in the lower leagues where there's not a load of money to dispatch of people, having a big compensation payout in order for them to remove you can help with job security. Arlo Doherty has signed a new deal at the club, so that is another good, I was going to say new signing. It's not a new signing at all, but at least he's staying around. I'm looking for that elusive centre attacking mid / striker player for us, someone who can kind of play both competently. Ideally, they'll be natural in one or the other. Butler Oyedeji here that we looked at before is still showing up. He's had a bid from Hartlepool for him. Has he maybe lowered his wage demands? I looked at him last time and he wanted a lot of money. To be fair, I know that Hartlepool have players on like over £7,000 a week. We cannot afford that. I also can't afford the deal he's expecting here, so we'll just walk away. I'm looking through players here sorted by reputation, and Charlie Whittaker here doesn't look awful by any means. The 21-year-old looks quite good. Luke Plange as well. There's some good players here who look like they were released by Premier League clubs. I feel like what might be the best option here is to offer a load of these players sorted by reputation trials and just see what my staff think of them. Who knows? Maybe some of these players will be good. Maybe just offering them a trial will let me have a look at them quickly rather than scouting them all. I was just looking through players that have contract status expired just to see if there's any good freebies out there. James Norris, I feel like I had maybe at Towlaw Town years ago in Football Manager. I actually really like him as a left back. I'm just sad that I don't really need a left back at the moment. I was hoping he might ask for breakthrough prospect so I could justify signing him and giving him a load of money. I can't justify that deal. I'm looking through these players. Oh my word, Rico Richards is very good. He is way better than everyone else I've looked at. League 2 teams are already bidding for him. There's no shot I can sign this guy, is there? Like, he is as good as Thorndyke. Yeah, that is a bit out of reach. I was about to say, I'm going through these players, very underwhelmed by them all. And then the first player that I click on that actually wows me is already got an interest in him. I could offer trials to load of these players, I realise, just to see if any of them would like that. This guy here, Samuels, actually. Natural right wing back, natural left wing back. He's quite good, but he does want to be an important player. You know what? I'll offer him a trial. Okay, I've got a load of players coming in on trial here. I just kind of mass selected players. I don't know how good some of these are going to be. I guess we'll see. Of the ones that haven't turned me down, who's actually good. I'm scrolling through these players. The early signs in terms of current ability aren't quite what I was looking for. I mean, Jay Turner Cook here does actually look really good. Centre attacking mid, can also play striker. He's actually really good. My staff are saying he's better than Thorndyke. I feel like they're getting a bit carried away there. But to be honest, he'd be a good option. He wants to be an important player. Why do I feel like he's going to have outrageous wage demands? Please don't hurt me, Jay. That's not bad, but I hate the release clause. Then again, it is quite a lot of money. I don't want to extend his contract length much, but I want to lower his wages. I'm feeling like this is the kind of man who I give an initial contract to, we bed him into the team, and in 6 months' time, he's happy enough to sign a new deal without a release clause, and everyone is happy, and we all sing Kumbaya together. That might be a tad ambitious. Okay, I managed to haggle him down to £1,200 a week. Those release clauses I really don't like, but to be honest, when I saw him, he is the kind of player I was expecting to be asking for the £3,000 we've seen loads of players ask for. Good versatile player, centre attacking mid, can play at striker, and in the wide areas. That could be super useful on off the bench. Who else have we got here? Charlie Whittaker. I mean, Charlie here is quick, but he doesn't really do a lot else. If we compare him with Jay, I mean, he's just a quicker version of Jay who's a bit better defensively. Do I sign them both? Charlie wants to be an important player. What kind of wage demands? I mean, he might be available for even less, but he has a lower release clause. Am I about to sign both these lads? I mean, Charlie, I think, will just accept £1,000 a week. I don't know if I need both of them. But if they've both got potential, they can both play striker. I feel like it's never a bad thing to have too many attacking options, because at this level, sometimes players do just inexplicably stop scoring. Having players who can step in and fill those boots is always good. Okay, I've looked through the rest of those players that have arrived on trial. I'll be honest, I'm pretty content with the two we're signing being the best. Yeah, this was always a possibility. Altrincham and Wickham have made offers for Jay. I mean, if I don't get Jay, but I get Charlie Whittaker, it's not the end of the world. Josh Chambers, by the way, leaving the building. £70,000 for him, I think, is a really good sum of money as a National League team. Being able to sell some players who aren't really starters for that kind of cash, always nice. National League top goal scorer odds. None of our players are in the list. 2 weeks, by the way, till the season starts. We've just played our penultimate friendly against Dulwich Hamlet. 2-1 away win. Not all that convincing. I was just looking through the list of players here in our squad. Of course, all the trialists are included in this list. I do wonder if just signing Thomas Hill is a sensible decision, just to have a really good ball-winning backup defensive mid. I know I've just sold Chambers to kind of free up a spot there, because I felt like we already had too many players in this area. This guy's pretty good and he's versatile. Watch him now ask for stupid money as a backup. Yeah, £2,000. It's not even worth negotiating because I was really just signing him because I thought he'd be useful if he was cheap. He is not cheap. No players in the top goal scorers odds, none in the top player odds either. Sam Barnes of Barrow, who of course have just been relegated, is top of the list. He's actually currently transfer listed. Do you reckon he'd want to join me? He doesn't want to join me. Okay, good news. Charlie Whittaker signing for us on £1,000 a week. I feel like that's a really good deal, actually. We'll train him to play as a striker just for that extra bit of versatility. Super consistent player, versatile. The kind of squad player we were looking for. And it's all the better we've signed it because Jay Turner-Cook has ended up going to Wickham. So, yeah, we've got a player that I wanted. That's why you make bids for multiple players with the view to cancel them if you really have to. I suppose the question is Whittaker better than Morehouse? Because Whittaker, obviously, has just signed for us. Morehouse is our other backup centre attacking mid. Morehouse isn't as versatile. Whittaker, maybe a slightly better player. To be fair, there's an argument to suggest that if I train him at striker, he could start over McGlynn in that area of the pitch. Charlie's actually really good. I'm a bit torn, really, because I think Whittaker might be the second best striking option behind Overton, but I really want to give Andy White game time, and I do feel like Whittaker is of a very similar mould to Overton in terms of just pacey striking options. Is it controversial if I start White, play Overton next to him, and then have Whittaker on the bench as the backup striker, and McGlynn doesn't even make the bench as vice-captain? I hate the fact I only get 5 subs. I was just having a little look through our recruitment focus suggestions. There's actually some interesting players here, like Nico Lawrence, who would be a good centre-back, but I don't feel like I can afford to sign another centre-back right now. We've signed a load of new players. I was looking at our centre-backs, questioning if I need all of them. There is a world in which maybe Sean Tarima I look to loan out or just send down to the under-21s. He did only sign as a breakthrough prospect anyway, and really he would be the emergency centre-back option. It's kind of interesting, right? In terms of star rating, he's rated higher than, say, Louis Jackson. But when you compare the two players head-to-head, it's fairly obvious that the stars just aren't accurate. The thing with Tarima is I literally could just demote him to the under-21s, and I don't feel like I now look at the team and go, oh my word, we're short of a centre-back. It's still actually absolutely fine. The only player who I did look at, I think, you'd be fun, is Aaron Rowe. 24 years old, was playing for Gillingham. This man can play anywhere on the left and anywhere on the right. He's not amazing at any of them, but as kind of a versatile backup option, he'd be fun. The issue is that due to the fact he's only recently become a free agent and he was playing in League 2 last year, he thinks he's Bertie Big Balls and he should be on a load of money. And he's nowhere near good enough to justify that. And I know some people are going to be like, Jack, you got a load of wage budget to spend, a load of transfer budget to spend. Why not spend it? Well, there is a pretty good reason for it. I feel like in the National League, given the fact there isn't like a transfer window that's super strict, players do often just become available as free agents and suddenly players get offered to you months into the season that are very good. If you've ever managed at this level, you've seen those players that get released by Premier League clubs fall through the cracks and they lower their playing time and kind of their club expectations over a period of time to the point where eventually they decide you might be an acceptable team for them. And I kind of want to leave some headroom to be able to sign those kind of players if we need them. But to be honest, even with the current squad that we've got, based on what we were capable of doing last year, I feel like the squad is better and we should be getting promoted this year without needing to spend more money. I know you can look at it and go, well, you could just spend £6,000 more a week on wages. Over the course of the actual season, that is, what, £300,000 that you're spending? For a club at our level, that is not insignificant money. And if I can save some money that maybe allows me to accumulate a bit more money in the balance to help invest in improving facilities even more, I think long-term, that's going to be essential. It's something I've not really mentioned yet, but thinking longer-term, bigger picture, when we get to the European kind of competitions, I'm going to have homegrown at club players in my ranks. Of course, often when you get to the Premier League, playing a normal Football Manager save game, you sign a load of kind of 16, 17-year-old, 18-year-old Brazilians and European players, and they just get homegrown at club. Because I can only sign English players, whilst I might be able to sign some players from other English teams, they don't tend to want to sell you players quite as freely. And so as a Premier League team, we are going to need those homegrown at club players to come from within. And it's for that reason that I'm very keen to make our facilities as good as possible and kind of maintain them as highly as possible as we rise up through the leagues. The fact that with the FA Cup money last year, we were able to max out the youth recruitment immediately was a massive bonus. That is going to take investment to keep it there over the next few years. Overton injured again. I'll leave it to physio. He is going to miss the start of the season, our star striker. Mentioned the fact that he has that mad injury proneness. We got so lucky last year where he didn't really get any injuries. Looking at things now, he's had 3 injuries in the last 3 weeks. 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks, 3 injuries. I'm hoping that's not a sign of things to come. Speaking of which, our first game of the season is a week away. That will be coming next episode. Right now, there's no transfer dealings going on. I still need to get rid of those players in the under-21s that I demoted to get rid of and forget about. In amongst all the trialists I just demoted, who really I should have just cancelled their trials, there remain Sellers and Page. I want to get rid of them both. They're not on cheap money by any means, especially Sellers on £1,000 a week. I really don't think he's as good as the star ratings suggest either. I think Andy White is just way above his level. Heck, even players like Musa, I think, are good enough to justify playing over Sellers, who he's just on too much. There is interest in him. Can someone please make a bid? I mean, ultimately, I don't have to sell these players, although I have just offered them out again. If I can't sell them, we'll just leave them in the under-21s. I think in both cases, their contracts are up at the end of the year anyway. The only area of the pitch where there's a bit of a question mark is right wing-back. Of course, we lost our main man in that area of the pitch at the end of the year in the form of Sammy Robinson. But I do look at Ajaria, and I just feel like I have to give the 16-year-old a chance. If he doesn't perform, that's probably the area of the team where after 5 games, we break the glass in case of emergency and go out and buy a player. No offers for Sellers. You're currently willing to pay £4,000. A reminder, I accepted a bid for this guy of, how much was it? £100,000? I'll offer him out for £10,000. That is hurting me to do. At this point, though, I just want to sell him. If I'm keeping him around for a whole year, it's going to cost me £52,000 just to pay his wages before bonuses. Any money I can get would be nice. I have been just having a little look at players that are transfer listed. There's some okay players here. I might get some scout reports on them. I think the reality is, though, a lot of these players want more money than I can actually afford. I'll tell you what, Chris Moore, formerly of Leeds, would be a really good centre-back to sign. He's just shown up with his contract status expired. I mentioned the fact I didn't need more centre-backs, then I demoted Tarima. I really like the look of this guy. I feel like I've seen him get very good in Football Manager previously. We'll get a more thorough scout report because this is a nonsense scout report with absolutely no info. He wants to be an important player. I've seen this movie before. He wants very reasonable money. Is a release clause involved? Look, I'll get rid of the sell-on. We'll get rid of the promotional wage rise. I'm going to try and knock his wages down to £1,000 a week. £1,000 a... 1,100... £1,200 a week. I hate this game. I'll offer him a trial. Maybe he'll like that. Never mind, he's a dick. Chris Moore, though, is the perfect example of those kind of players that definitely didn't want to talk to me a few weeks ago. As the season approaches and as the season kicks off, he wants to find a team. If he doesn't get picked up, we'll try and get him, I'm sure. I mean, the league season starts now in 3 days. I think I'm done in terms of transfers. I thought we'd get more done today and maybe have a few more players come in, maybe a few more offers happen. But really, no one bid on our players. And given the current size of the first team, I'm not really in a spot where I want to sign more players and throw off the balance. Things we love to see, by the way. Andy White, the man who I'm pinning all my hopes on, our new hot prospect. Yeah, he is the best training player at the moment. An 8.35 rating. I will praise him. I want to be in his favoured personnel very soon. At the moment, only David is. It's just not fair. I should point out that if you don't do this in Football Manager, you really should do it all the time. Just praise all the players who are training reasonably well. Helps you get in their favoured personnel. Helps them train better as well and keep their rating nice and high. Good to see Joe Rose, our goalkeeper, doing so well. I feel like he was a bit of an unsung hero last year. Didn't mention his name much. He actually get 14 clean sheets. I thought that was pretty good. If you were wondering, by the way, with all our new additions to the team, our updated season preview prediction has us up in 4th place. I think at the start of the season it was 5th. We then dropped down to like 8th. With the new additions we've brought in, we've climbed back up. The only bad news, there isn't a single player of ours in the Media Dream 11 except Joe Rose. I'll take it back. He didn't stand out there because he's wearing green. He's in there. Duke McKenna is the best player in our division, allegedly. I don't feel like he's that good. Is that controversial? All I'm saying is when I compare him with Thorndike, okay. Well, I think Thorndike's better, but I might be biased a little bit. I think it's interesting and kind of a good indicator to the fact that the key players in the Media Dream 11 aren't necessarily the best reflection of overall ability in the game and in your division. In fact, you can see here, Rose and Overton are considered my two key players. So, yeah, Thorndike's been done dirty. Barrow, who we take on tomorrow, and, well, it is today in game because I'm now at 3 o'clock on the Saturday. Their media prediction at the start of the season was second. With all the dealings going on, they have tumbled down the division. Presumably, they've lost some fairly good players, maybe released a load of players upon their relegation as well. I still don't feel like that's going to be the easiest game in the world, but we are going to be at home for it. I will hold up my hands and apologise a little bit. I thought there'd be a little bit more transfer goodness going on today, but to be honest, there wasn't a load of offers that came in. Great to get Charlie Whittaker over the line. As always, I'd love to know your thoughts on the dealings we've done, the current state of the squad. Is there any positions where you'd be looking to strengthen? Maybe an area of the pitch which I'm just ignoring. Sometimes that happens. I'm in my own little bubble, and you guys can maybe expand my horizons. As I mentioned at the start of today's episode, if you have enjoyed things, go down below, leave a like. We will be back on Monday to kick off season number 2 here at Wanderers against Barrow. I hope you guys are excited for it. I'll see you for that one next time. I'm out.